Okay, so we're going to look at a report today talking about consumer spending that came out today. So let's see the news and see what's going on. We'll go back to our trusty CNBC. Let's see if this is good news or bad news, or let's see if it's true. I guess that should have been the first question.
CNBC and the National Retail Federation out with the latest retail monitor. Steve Leisman joins us right now with those details. Good morning, Steve.
Morning, Becky. Consumer spending bounced back in October after a sharp fall in September.
Bounce back.
With the gains in the CNBC NRF retail monitor across most sectors adding up to a good and a strong start for retail in the fourth quarter. Here's the data. The retail monitor powered by actual credit card spending data from...
Whoa! Powered by what? Hold on. Let me run that back again.
Retail in the fourth quarter. Here's the data. The retail monitor powered by actual credit card spending data from Affinity Solutions shows retail ex auto and gas up 0.6 compared with a 0.
So this is all credit card data. Okay, so let's see here. Title: Consumer spending bounced back in October, and you're telling me about credit card data. Okay, let's see. Let's dig into these numbers. Let's see what's going on.
4.7% decline in September. The year-over-year rate, though, did edge down to 5% from 5.4. We take out restaurants as well to get core retail. That rose 0.6, also up from a 0.5% decline. The year-over-year rate edging down to 4.9 from 5.7%. The monitor has been far more volatile this year. You can see that the data comes amid declining measures of consumer sentiment, inflation still high for goods, and tariffs that have prompted front-running by shoppers. So maybe that's part of the up and the down we have there. The alt data we're looking at, like the monitor.
Okay, the up and the down. All right, I'm listening to that, and I do like that he brought out how inflations and tariffs have something to do with... Oh, Kiyomi is here, by the way. And he talked about how that was causing the dips, but did he talk about how that could have affected the prices and could have artificially made it look like consumer spending was higher than it's supposed to be? Maybe. I didn't hear that. I don't know. Let's continue to hear him. Let's see what they think.
Has taken on added importance amid this shutdown that's kept government data from being published, maybe coming out soon. Here are the sector breakdown. Most sectors were up. Digital products leading the way up 2%, clothing and accessories 1.4%. Restaurants doing well, as did beverage, health and personal care did well as also. But building and garden supplies down 0.8%. That was
okay. Digital products are going up. I guess that's part of the whole AI stuff going on, maybe. Clothing and accessories, okay, people still buying clothes. Restaurants and bars seem to be going up. Interesting with the reports coming out of Chipotle and McDonald's about how their consumer spending has gone down with most of the population. Okay, healthcare, personal care, all right, and building and garden supplies going down. I don't know how good that is for the housing industry. And you talk about like your Home Depots and Lowe's, looks like they're struggling. These are some interesting numbers here. But I'm surprised that food and beverage one isn't up higher, especially with how grocery prices are. I don't know. This is some interesting data here.
It was one of just 3 of the 12 negative sectors, including gas station sales. NRF economists note recent economic data has been mixed, yet consumer spending remains solid, supported by wage growth outpacing inflation, historically low unemployment, and wealth effects from the strong stock market valuations.
Very interesting statement here from the National Retail Federation. A couple things that I notice here. Wage growth is outpacing inflation. Okay, all right. There's historically low unemployment. Let's see, October of 2025 was the highest layoff count happening in October for 20 years. But there's historically low unemployment. Okay, all right. And then this big one right here, wealth effects from strong stock market valuations. Well, I can tell you that's definitely true. Stock market is higher than it's ever been, and it seems to only be climbing, especially with the news that came out last night of the government shutdown probably coming to an end later on this week. Interesting statement right here, though, from the National Retail Federation. This has been an interesting report so far. So consumer spending is bouncing back because consumers are spending more on credit cards, and now wage growth is outpacing inflation, and there's historically low unemployment. Okay. All right.
The economists were encouraged by October numbers for the holiday season, but I looked at it. October gains have only a loose relationship with November and December. Sure, it's a good start. Critical questions in retail right now. How are goods inflation, tariffs, and initial signs of a cooling job market? How will they affect holiday shopping? Those factors did not seem to hold back consumers in October, Becky.
I like that. He's, if you caught it right there for me to translate it in English for you all, because, cooling job market, what he means is it's interesting how a lot of people are getting laid off and how it's very hard to get a job, but they don't think that the spending with the holidays will be affected. And now, from looking at this data, if we're talking about credit card spending, then there's a big chance that it won't, and it'll be people putting their stuff on their credit cards. But is that a good thing?
Hey, Steve, if the shutdown actually ends, let's say, towards the end of this week, which is probably the fastest they could possibly do it if they come back to work, how quickly would we then get the data, and how out of date would it be as we get it?
So we think we were pretty sure they have the September jobs data and other data from September, remember, because the shutdown began October 1. Mm-hmm. So they could probably release the jobs data within days. That's the expectation or the thinking. And maybe even the CPI and some of the retail data could come out as well. October could be a big black hole. I talked to Erica Groshin, the former commissioner of BLS, and she said that during the shutdown, if you wanted to, as a business, to fill out the form and tell the BLS how many jobs you had, you couldn't do it because the computer system is also shut down.
So the BLS, and I'll go ahead and end it here for them, the BLS is how they get the jobs data. It's a organization. Your employer gets sent a form, they fill it out, they tell you how many people are working for the job, what the payroll is. It's kind of an archaic way of taking data. It kind of shows that our jobs data may be very, very off, but that's all they got. Basically what he's saying is that during October, because the government was shut down, they didn't even get that data. But anyway, I want to go to something else though, because overall what we saw with that video was that, hey, consumer spending is up. It's bounced back. Yeah, it's good. It's on credit cards, but hey, it's all good. Let me show you another report. Now, this came out September 14th, so this was just a month ago, but something very interesting here. Let's take a look at it. 2025 sees rise in Americans living paycheck to paycheck. A growing share of U.S. workers are struggling to cover expenses as everyday costs continue to weigh heavily on household budgets, according to new survey findings. Look at this number here that I'm about to read out. PNC Bank's annual financial wellness in the workplace report shows that 67% of workers now say they are living paycheck to paycheck, up from 63% in 2024. So rising costs outpace wages. So now in what we just saw, it said that wages were outpacing inflation, and this was put out just the month before. So, okay, what's happening? Well, I'll tell you what's happening. What's happening is that this is the reality of more Americans living paycheck to paycheck. And the reason why it's a reality, my ChatGPT, the reason why it's a reality is because people are putting more on their credit cards, which means more debt, which means more anxiety, which means this number of living paycheck to paycheck is going to go up because you have to pay off those credit cards. So basically, what are the things that I always say on this channel? 3 things. Get out of credit card debt, build an emergency fund, simplify your life. Why is that? Because this number right here, you don't want to be caught up in this number. This is rough. That's rough. And you see, people are still going to use their credit cards to spend over the holidays. Now, if you're a balanced person, and if you want to be someone who is logical and who can reason, do you want to have this added stress of more credit card debt, of more anxiety? Let's just pull back and slow down right now. And do what you can to get out of credit card debt. Build a 6 to 12 month emergency fund, and then look around and look for ways to simplify your life. Because the way the economy is right now, you have a rough job market, worst in 50 years, and you have inflation happening where prices are going up, up, and up. This is like disastrous circumstances right here. So what can you do from a financial standpoint to help yourself? Don't be like everyone else. Do not be part of the crowd. Pay off your credit card debt. Build a 6 to 12 month emergency fund. Paying off that credit card debt will help you to not be living paycheck to paycheck. Building that emergency fund will help you because if you do lose your job, you got a 6-month buffer built in to get another one. And last but certainly not least, simplify your life. You don't have to live a certain type of lifestyle. Because I'll tell you this, when it comes to simplifying your life, because many people say, oh, well, I need stuff. Well, if you get a lot of stuff, you're going to have to pay for that stuff. And then you're going to have to keep paying for it. But if you simplify, you end up getting the thing that you can't buy more of. And that's time. But hey, y'all, we'll talk more later. I enjoyed talking to y'all today. Y'all have a good one. Oh, before I say that, get down in the comments below and tell me, what have you done to get on your debt-free journey? What have you done to try to pay off credit cards? What have you done to try to simplify your life? I want to know. Like, comment, subscribe. Now y'all have a good one.